overrated. My overrated pour is I hate to do this to you. Okay.
He says what I think he's going to say. My Irish bones are going to be dropping him.
Jameson, absolutely overrated. And I know in the bloodline from your heritage that's probably hurting your feelings a little bit. I've never once gone to a bar, ordered a shot of Jameson, and then thought to myself, thank God I did that. I feel like such a better person now for having that shot of Jameson. So as far as single pours as a whiskey, overrated. Underrated, Irish whiskeys, Redbreast. Class yourself up a little bit, all right? Spend the extra $4 or $5 a shot. Get yourself some Redbreast, game changer.
YUNKJunk!
What's up, Philadelphia, and welcome to the very first episode of the Supper Club Sessions. We are your hosts. My name is Lou Novak. This is my co-host, Shawnee Mac McGranaghan, which is a nickname I just gave him.
Shawnee Mac.
Sean McGranaghan.
I've had several nicknames in my entire life. That's the first time anybody has ever referred to me as Shawnee Mac.
I can't say the nicknames that you probably usually get on air right now.
Okay, all right. Well, that makes sense.
Trying to keep it.
So Shawnee Mac it is.
Shawnee Mac it is. Welcome to the first episode of Supper Club Sessions on the YUNKJunk page. What we'll be doing here today is kind of introducing ourselves, letting you know who we are and what we're about. We are long-term veterans of the bar restaurant industry. I have 26 years experience on my end. Sean?
Yeah. I've been in the bar business my entire life. Started out when I was 18 and just love doing it. And I love being able to talk about it. And I love being able to experience it. I love being able to support businesses. And that's why I thought we would sit there and have some conversations about some of the stuff that we learned over the years.
And that's what we'll be doing. It'll be conversations. It'll be bar and restaurant adjacent, but also McGranaghan, Philadelphia, and all things that kind of, entail when you talk about things that you talk about at a bar over some beers. So.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So, Lou, why don't you tell me a little about yourself and why you chose to get in this business?
I got into this business for money. Okay. Which didn't really work out too well for me. But 15 years old, starting off as a dishwasher, making $4.50 an hour under the table. I mean, completely on the books.
On the books.
Yeah. Which was great though, because 15 years old, you're, I'm a high school student up at Father Judge, and when everyone else is kind of like in the cafeteria bumming nickels and dimes and stuff, and I just have a roll of 20s on me, it wasn't the worst life in the world. So I was corrupted at a young age. I was raised by a bunch of heathens, and that's why I've turned out the way I am today.
What'd you do with your first paycheck?
Man, we're on air, aren't we?
Yeah.
So that's one.
I know the actual story.
Strip club. So strip club at 15, completely brought in illegally. I believe.
Can we name the strip club? Does it still exist?
It still exists up in the Northeast. And if I ever get an endorsement deal from that place, I will absolutely name it. Okay. Or if I don't get an endorsement deal, maybe I'll name it since they let in a minor. But maybe it's that without incriminating anyone. I believe I
remember the days when I was dreaming about going into a strip club for the first time. And I'm glad that that's what you did with your first check.
Yeah. It was an 18 and older to get in. And I was brought in under the guise of, hey, he's shipping out to Iraq tomorrow.
Wait. So your first paycheck and your first experience was stolen valor.
Stolen valor, and I believe I was a corrupted minor as well. So there were literal felonies.
Okay, all right. And listen, I've known you a very long time. That's the first time I heard that that's what happened with your first check. And it kind of makes sense.
Well, Sean, why don't we talk about what you did with your first paycheck and how you started in the business?
Well, technically I started when I got my first job at Sparrow Pizza at Franklin Mills Mall.
Best pizza in New York, by the way.
Well, it's my favorite pizza in New York. A real New York slice. But I was making $3.75 an hour on the books. That's how long ago was it? That was the minimum wage.
Wow. Was this during like the draft or like?
We were just getting out of the Second World War.
Nice.
So,
nice.
And the country was growing. And I'm pretty sure my first paycheck, I probably bought food with it because I've always been a fatty. So I probably reinvested in Sparrow because I felt so good about the company.
Just indentured servitude for pizza.
I gave them 2 hours basically for a couple of slices. But then obviously when I got a little bit older and I was in college and walked it off the street to the legendary bar in Philadelphia, Finnegan's Wake, rest in peace.
R.I.P.
I walked in, got a job as a bouncer while I was in college, and never looked back. And it's been a passion. So, but being in the business is a lot different than what people think. People think the restaurant business is hard. It doesn't have to be hard. It really doesn't. We put up with a lot, but we also get that sense of immediate gratification where we can, affect somebody's day, whether it be an employee who's having a tough time or, a guest who's coming in and they just had, a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting in our restaurant and there was a couple breaking up 6 feet away from me to the point where I felt uncomfortable because you
were the reason.
It's possible, but I literally was sitting there and I was locked in my chair because I felt it got to the point where if I got up and walked away, it would have been, look, now you pissed him off too.
Look what you did, you
Look what
jerk.
you did, you little jerk. But that's part of what we deal with every day. We deal with the ups and downs, the positives and negatives. And I tell people all the time, I'll never do anything different. I love it. And I'm always going to have a passion for it.
I have oftentimes told people, and whether it be people we're mentoring or recruiting or people we're hiring or even people that I work with on a day-to-day basis, this is not a job. It's not even a career. It's a lifestyle. And it's not something where you're going to go in, you're going to punch a clock and you're going to, leave everything at home and then you're going to leave work at work. Like it's the way we live. It's not for everybody, and to go off of what you said, it's not that it's difficult, but it's something only certain people can do. And in order to do this job, it's weird because you need patience and also you need an immediate sense of immediate emergency at all times. It's a lot of hurry up and wait. But it's also, like you said, it's impactful. It's, whether it be the food or the alcohol side, it's hospitality. You're giving people an out. You're giving people a place where they can go where they're not dealing with the minutiae of their day-to-day life. Just as something as simple as having a meal that someone else is preparing for you because I'm just so stressed and I don't feel like cooking today. Or is, on the opposite side of that is, man, I just want to get a beer, and I just want to go out with my friends and catch up. So, it's a privilege to have the line of work that we have because we are immediately impactful on people's lives across the board.
Yeah. I mean, how many times do we sit there and we even in previous years, we sit there and say, man, I just need a beer. See, and it's not because of alcohol or anything like that. It's that social environment, to be able to decompress, unwind a little bit and, sometimes talk about work, sometimes not talk a word about work. But, I think that I've always compared it to, you have to be able to ride the roller coaster. And any good roller coaster is going to have its peaks and valleys. It's going to have its, kind of long pauses where they're kind of setting you up for that next fall or the next drop. And you got to be able to ride that, and there's a lot of people out there that want to or would like to. There's also a lot of people that just do it because, it was available for them and it's something simple, fits into their schedule. But, let me ask you a question. So give me an example of somebody over the years where you felt that you were hiring somebody and felt, I'm not sure if this person's going to work out, and they showed a different side because they were able to ride the roller coaster.
That's a really good question. What, you have an example you could start with?
I
think of one, to be honest with you.
So I remember years ago, I had somebody come in off the street and she never worked in the restaurant business before, never did, serving, hosting, busing, anything like that. And her first job was as a hostess, working for one of the places I was at. And, I was able to really mold her into what I felt was going to be, a good employee. And, she walked in off the street, applied for a job it was the first Thursday of March Madness. And I was out in Pittsburgh and Pitt was playing at the 12 o'clock game. And we had a bar that was a Irish sports bar Fitting Its Wake, R.I.P. And in Pittsburgh, and I was short-staffed. It happens. You sit there and plan for the best, and we were short-staffed. So her and her friend came in off the street, filled out an application, and she literally just started getting at it and taking care of guests. Never worked at a restaurant before. She was going to school for it, but never actually worked at one before. And by the end of the shift, we you know how those war stories are when we're done with those busy shifts, and we sit there and decompress a little bit, take that breath. And I had a table, call me over and say, hey, you the manager? I got to talk to you. So I go over, I talk to him, and I'm like, hey, thanks for coming in. Say thanks for your patience. Thanks for working with us today. And he says, I just want to let you know, that server, you got to give her a raise, which we hear that kind of stuff all the time. You got to give her a raise. Well, coincidentally, she wasn't even hired yet. Wow. But she jumped in and just with her personality and her work ethic, just jumped in and took care of business. And I said to the guy, I said, you know what? Before I give her a raise, I have to hire her.
Give her a job.
Yeah. And little sister Sarah, shout out to Sarah Marion. She was a rock star in the business for a number of years and loved what she did. And I'm not sure if she still does it anymore because she's moved on to other things, but that was really one of those real proud moments for me, because it was like, wait a minute, I just gave somebody this opportunity, and by the time, she wasn't even 21 years old when we made her the GM after I moved back, and we felt comfortable enough with having her do that because of working with her and being a mentor for her and always being available. So there's situations like that where I look back and I sit there and say like, man, I don't know if this one's going to cut it out or this one's going to make it. And then they blossom into a beautiful flower and make it all worthwhile.
I've said plenty of times before, if you give me someone that has a 10 out of 10 talent, but a 5 out of 10 work ethic, or you give me someone that's got a 5 out of 10 talent, but a 10 out of 10 work ethic, I'm going to take the ethic over the talent 100% of the times. And it sounds like with this girl, with Sarah, again, just brand new, not actually having any work, underneath her belt as far as doing this, but just having the kind of the moxie is to jump right in. Hey, we're going to fake it till we make it and figure it out. I want people like that on my team all the time.
I absolutely. I also want people who use the word moxie.
I was trying to use slang from your time period.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't want to a lot of hullabaloo. I was trying to keep you up to date and keep you relevant. As far as mine, since you said host, I'll just take it to someone I didn't hire, but current events where I'm at right now is we had a hostess on our team who phenomenal hostess, very nice, polite, good demeanor, pretty smile. And, I approached them and I said, hey, would you like to start taking tables? Would you like to start serving? And they were very nervous. I can't just go up and start talking to people and getting their orders, and very kind of timid. And I just reminded them, I'm like, you talk to people every day when they walk in the door. You're polite, you're bright, you have an engaging personality, and you use that when you greet them. What would be different about doing that at the table? And it was, the response was, oh, I never thought of it that way. And then we gave them a shot as a server. And now, they're 4 shifts a week serving for us, kicking ass. And, it's a similar situation where, you give someone a shot, and it's cool to see people, when you push them out of the nest, watch them fly instead of, splat.
So, pretty bird.
Right now, if you tune into this program regularly, which we hope we do, we hope to get lots of followers.
We're competing with Joe Rogan. We're going head to head with Joe Rogan right now, just so you know.
For ratings or in a fight, because you could fight him.
No, I wouldn't fight him. Joe Rogan would rip my head off. He dude trains. He's trained and he's not all natural, and he admits it.
If you had to have a contest on who could get higher, do you think you have a shot then? Who could just smoke more weed, or do you think that?
No,
you think he still beats you?
Again, he's pro. He's Hall of Famer, and I'm just a novice. Not that I partake in any type of. I treat my body like the temple that I would want to go and party at.
So this is the part where we would usually have a guest feature on right now. And that's something we're going to build to. We're going to have some people from the actual bar and restaurant industry, maybe some people that are adjacent to that, but still in the Philly circle of things. And, we're looking to get some friends of ours that we've worked in and some business partners here. We don't have that today. We will. And when we have that, we'll have some samples for us to try, whether it be food or booze, drinks, and we'll invite a third person on and they'll be able to come in and talk shop with us for a little bit. That withstanding that we did have a couple segments we were going to discuss. I guess we're just going to go cold into it. You want to go into Bar 101?
Let's go into Bar 101 because I think it's a very important topic. And this is something when we're out. I mean, we like to. We like to go out and check out places. We like to hang out. We like to support local businesses, especially here along Main Street. So many good places here on Main Street. I mean, LaRocca, Winnie's, Ryan's, Taqueria, Moore, Lucky's. I mean, like really. Goat's Beard, Mia Ragazza. I mean, so many good places right here. That's why I love living right here on Main Street. But I mean, obviously in the city as well. There's a lot of places we like to go to in the city. And one of the things that we always talk about is how people don't know how to act in a bar or restaurant. Okay. And we've always talked about this idea of doing a class, and it's almost like community service outreach for the kids. It's all about the kids.
It's a public service. It's
the
more
service.
you know.
So like, one thing, when you go to a bar or restaurant, don't split the check. It's a known fact. I know everybody's got Venmo, everybody's got Zelle, everybody's got Cash App, and they can just have somebody be on point. Don't fight over it. I remember for years, we used to go to brunch and stuff with my mom and my brother, and my brother would always have this big fight over, I'm going to pay the check, and it's like almost like like it's okay. We can figure this out. Like we're adults. We can fight like men. And listen, you and I have that conversation a lot where there's times where you'll say, no, I'm getting the check tonight, or and I like the fact that we've kind of settled on that middle ground. Like, hey, we'll figure this out. But when we're with a group of people, how fucking annoying is it for somebody to sit there and be like, I have card only and I'm only going to tip X, Y, or Z, and it's kind of like, no, we're together.
I have absolutely stopped going out with people that have done that to where I've only, not just I have, card X, Y, Z, like, hey, I only got the salad. So I'm like, just don't come out next time. I'm not very asking someone to pick up, my slack if I ordered a bunch of stuff. But if I feel close enough to say, hey, let's go share a meal together. Let's go get drinks together. First of all, if we're going to the bar, let's just put cash in the bar and just kitty up and figure it out. And if we're getting a meal, again, we have Venmo. There's a meme. It's like, hey, do you want separate checks or do you like each other? It's not something that should be done as far as bill splitting. Just to quote Jurassic Park, they spend so much time figuring out if they could do it. They didn't think about if they should do it. And I get that we can split checks. Don't split checks. I want to talk about my topic for Bar 101, similar to the bar scene. Don't close your checks out in between transactions. If you're doing card and you are going to be getting more than one drink and you go to the bartender, it's like, hey, I would like a beer, and you give them your card.
Close it out.
Yeah, don't close it out.
Don't.
If I'm assuming you're not going to be a one and done, and you're going to be at the bar for more than 15 minutes. You're going to be at the bar for a little bit. Leave the card on file. Close the checkout at the end of the check, at the end of the night. Not in between transactions. You're wasting the bartender's time. You look like that guy or that girl at the bar.
Don't be that girl.
Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. So as far as Bar 101, as far as just like we train our staff, and just like we've been trained, let's train the guests too. Let's train the customers a little bit.
That's exactly what the Bar 101, what I've always thought about is bring topics to address to, again, teach the younger generations, because I'm getting, I'm on the downside of my life.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
I'm not going to last that much longer on this earth, and because of that, I need to impart my knowledge, and that's why I feel it's important to do it for the kids.
The children are our future.
Teach them well, let them lead the way. Yeah, I totally agree with that. And the idea that, that when people go to these restaurants, I don't even know if they know how they're being perceived, because, they don't even realize that when you sit there and say, close it out, and the bartender knows you're going to get another drink.
He saw you walk in with 5 of your friends and it's the first round. Right. Close me out. Like,
no, be an adult.
Grow up.
Grow up.
Grow up.
Grow up. I agree with that. Let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
When we go out, and one of the reasons why we were very creative with coming up with the title of our little podcast here, Supper Club, is because
who we are. It's what we do.
When we go out, we have our little supper club, and we invite people out with us, and we what do we always say? They have to fit the vibe.
Check at all times.
And if they don't fit the vibe, they don't get the invitation for the second time.
The first night out with us is basically, it's a tryout. It's an audition.
Yeah.
You'll get the interview. I can't promise you'll get the job. So, the interview itself is not to put us on such a pedestal, but we're a good time. So the interview itself is almost an honor. The second time you're invited out, you're one of us now.
You're one of us. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So let me ask you, what are your thoughts on what is the tangible things that you need to do to become a member of Supper Club?
Not split the check,
not close out each round.
Yeah. The energy has to be right. The sense of humor has to be right. Someone that is, professionally minded and has a good work ethic, that needs to be there. We're not taking loafers out with us and freeloaders. People that, have a drive, people that can talk shop, people that are quippy and can speak with wit, people that have good taste. We're not, and I don't think I'm ruining any future guest appearances later, but we're not bringing people out to Applebee's. We're not going out to Longhorn. So, people that, something you want to add, Sean? Sean, where did you spend was it your birthday or your brother's birthday?
I think it was my brother's birthday.
Where was that at?
Well, first we tried to go to, I believe it's a Tex-Mex restaurant. Very, very, very hard to get a table at these days. I believe it's pronounced Chili's.
Nice.
And
hard to get into. Reservations? Open table or resi?
We tried to walk in, but even though
obviously they weren't taking walk-ins,
3/4 of the tables were empty because they were short-staffed, and we're right up State Line Ave, and I live right here on Main Street in McGranaghan, and so we were saying, okay, what's the next stop? Obviously, Chili's didn't work out.
You set the bar so high, though.
Yeah, so then we went to this other. It's a very exclusive steakhouse. I believe it's called Longhorn.
Ooh,
and listen,
the line's long?
There's no problem with chain restaurants. I don't have a problem with chain restaurants. There's people out there that enjoy them. And, listen, I tell people all the time, McDonald's became a $36 billion business because they did things consistently the same way. That being said, I don't like McDonald's.
Founder, a great movie, by the way.
Phenomenal movie, yeah. I'll tell you the best part of the movie was the McDonald brothers, because it was like you saw where the struggle was there. But so when we go out to these restaurants, we like to go to support local businesses, support Philadelphia businesses, and we really like to experience those kinds of things when we go out. So I'll talk about it right now. One of our favorite restaurants to go to.
Alpen Rose. It's a Scholson restaurant.
It's got a speakeasy type of feel. It has by far and away the best steak I've had in the city. And I know we have all the steakhouses. I mean, we had Morton's before it closed, but Capitol Grill and Del Frisco's and all them. But the steak at Alpen Rose is the best steak out there. Not only did they do it in the broiler, but then they finish it on the wood-fired grill. And that little touch at the end there, I could taste it in my mouth now. I almost want to go out and get one right now.
Okay.
I mean, and there's 11 tables. The service is phenomenal. Nobody's in there cutting throats. Everybody's in there supporting each other. Everybody understands it's about the hospitality. You're in there to have a good time, and you're in there to have that experience. And there's times where maybe I have a little bit too much of a good time there. And
I've never known that to happen ever.
I believe there was a time where I had a shoulder tap because I was discussing things
That
with
guy?
I was that guy.
I would say the only thing that even rivals the steak and the way like the fat cap just melts like butter on the ribeye. The only thing that rivals that is the service and the vibe and the hospitality they give you. We went from, just being walking people off the street as far as, our first times there to where now they keep a running tab on us as guests to where when we book reservations, they say, oh, the Novak and McGranaghan, the supper club party is here. We've gotten exclusive behind the scenes. Like we've been walked through their kitchen.
Oh, it's not the best.
So we had reservations before with Alpin and, they were a few minutes behind, and that's not indicative of them. That's just the fact that the place is so busy at all times. So they set us up with a couple drinks next door, which is also owned by Scholson. And, we had some old fashions, and the hostess comes over to us and she's like, hey, Mr. Novak, Mr. McGranaghan, your table's ready. Do we want to fight our way through the crowd and leave out the front door? Or do you guys just want to walk through the kitchen to your table? Which for us being in the business that we're in, just to get that behind the scenes look at, what something that we love and how that's done, it's an awesome feel. It does. It has that Goodfellas, vibe, that Copa, feeling where they bring out their own table for us. And they brought us to the kitchen. They brought us into their dining room. And, just took us to our table that way. It's those touches and, people that could appreciate that. People like that fit our vibe for Supper Club.
I feel like a lot of times, we would almost sit there and say, "Well, Alp and Rose, you have to graduate to it." But I think we actually usually use as our almost like our proving ground. Like
we open up hard.
If you and again, it's not like it's when we're all about having a good time. We're all about smiling. We're all about laughing, joking. And we break balls. We break a lot of balls when we're out, but that's all part of like who we are. It's a part of the experience, and if you either get it or you don't.
Yeah, you need thick skin to be in this business and to hang with us. And that doesn't, it's just part of our personality. It's never, I'll say the meanest things I can to you because you're my friend. You're my best friend, right? So it's okay. It's the type of humor we have. And I think it's the type of humor this business breeds inside of you. It just kind of, you have to be broken down to survive in this business. You have to be broken down and remolded by the person that kind of trains you and brings you up in it. And I learned that at an early late age, and I'm sure the same was for you.
Yeah.
And it's our duty to continue to break people down.
It is a duty. It's almost like when you go in the Marine Corps, they have to bring you down before they can build you up, and that's part of what we do. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And that being said, we are a little bit overdue for a supper club, so we need to get one scheduled.
I'm free tonight.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Next on our topical pieces, we would go into, in future episodes, you'll see us sort of probably more gradually get into this, but this will be a little bit more cold, is our list. Did we talk about having our list today? Title for this segment to be named later. I think the list is a little generic.
As of right now, it's the list. We'll figure it out. Did you have any specific topics you wanted to talk about for the list?
No.
Okay. No. Somebody did their homework.
Gotcha.
And listen, I know I got big shoulders, but sometimes it's hard carrying you everywhere.
Well, you got big.
So I was thinking we do an overrated, underrated.
Oh,
3.
Oh, I like this.
3 overrated, 3 underrated.
Okay.
Single pour alcohols. Over
and under.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I can play along with this.
So. And I've given a lot of thought to this because I'm going to start off with my first one.
Okay.
Overrated. Tito's vodka. And listen, nothing against Tito's. Okay. When it first came out, when it was when coming off of everybody had 20 flavors of vodka, and one of Tito's things when they first came out, I was like, hey, we're not doing that anymore. We're non-GMO, we're gluten-free, blah, 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 all the good stuff, So that was when Tito's and Club Soda became the thing for
Tito's
everybody.
And Club. Yeah.
And again, nothing, against Tito's. But here in Philadelphia, we happen to have probably one of the best vodkas in the country. Okay. And somebody's drank it at some point, whether it be getting it straight, getting it mixed into a drink, getting it through one of the bars or restaurants that are using them. They've got very good big seltzers and they have a hard tea. So they have a lot of good products, but stateside vodka.
Yeah.
Okay. Stateside vodka, underrated. And if you did a taste test with both of them, and we've done this, stateside wins every time. And it's not because it's just because it's local in Philly. It's not because it's I remember one time we were trying to sell vodka that was, well, this is made from Mongolian water and it's distilled 18,000 times before it gets down to this pure bottle. It's the most pure vodka ever, and it didn't sell one. We literally had to give them away. With stateside, I think it's a little bit different. So my first on the list: overrated vodka, Tito's; underrated vodka, stateside.
Just to follow up on that too, I know we're here and we're in McGranaghan and we're on the YUNKJunk page. I'm from the Northeast, and the demographic up there with tea light drinkers has always been so saturated to where you couldn't give another iced tea product away in the Northeast. It was tea light, tea light, tea light.
And everybody tried to come up with
there
competitors.
was so many different variations of people trying to compete with that. And we all did. We were all tea light drinkers. I remember one time I was in LA with friends of mine, and we ordered a tea light, and they thought we wanted a Diet Long Island because they never heard of a tea light, because as national as the Twisted Tea product is, tea light was just ultra saturated to Northeast Philly. Now, if you don't have Surfsides, don't open your door.
Mm-hmm.
It's just one of those things to where like stateside itself has built up such a brand in its own vodka that now they're mixed drinks with their vodka blow everything else out of the water. It used to, seltzers used to be White Claws, right? White Claws, and
I don't even think I've seen White Claws.
I haven't seen a White Claw since the pandemic.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't not get a White Claw somewhere, unless you were a bro at one of the City Sips events, and you were wearing pop collar. Sup, bro?
2 collars? Are we going back to the 2 collar days?
Now you're showing your age.
Yeah,
okay.
well,
I was within
kid.
the polo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But now it's you're getting stateside seltzers and you're getting Surfsides, and that's what stateside's done to the game. Big things popping. So yeah, I'm with you on that one. Underrated stateside vodka, 100%.
So give me an overrated and an underrated from you.
My overrated pour is I hate to do this to you. Okay.
He says what I think he's going to say. My Irish bones are going to be dropping him.
Jameson, absolutely overrated. And I know in the bloodline from your heritage that's probably hurting your feelings a little bit. I've never once gone to a bar, ordered a shot of Jameson, and then thought to myself, thank God I did that. I feel like such a better person now for having that shot of Jameson. So as far as single pours as a whiskey, overrated. Underrated, Irish whiskeys, Redbreast. Class yourself up a little bit, all right? Spend the extra $4 or $5 a shot. Get yourself some Redbreast, game changer. Completely smoother finish, less of a regretful hangover. I've never had the vomits from Redbreast, which I've had from Jameson every time I've tried to get it down. Redbreast, I was put on by the Play on Stars over in Old City. My opening move every time I'm at a new cultural spot is I ask the waiter or waitress or bartender to sell me something on the menu that you would have for yourself. I do that when I go to an Asian infused place or, a type of like Mexican place. And just like when I was at an Irish spot, hey, I don't know what is the main thing to get here. Sell me something. And she quickly took away my Jameson that I had. She's like, well, you're not going to be drinking this. Drink a Redbreast. And absolute game changer. So yeah, overrated, obviously Jameson. Underrated. Step your game up, everybody. Redbreast.
So now that we've established that Lou has no clue what he's talking about and is not even educated in
Alcoholism. Nice. Good.
I will say this. I'll agree with the Redbreast, and I think, was I there that night? Remember we down in Plow and like the bartender was Irish guy and was like, here, take this. Or was it a woman? Oh, no, I wasn't there that first time, but we went the second time and you ordered the Redbreast and I didn't have it.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And
you settled for a Tullamore 12-year. And
Tully's I don't think you're ever settling for Tully.
I'm gonna come over top with you a little bit because I know that I do have a tendency to. I like whiskey.
Really?
Whiskey tastes good.
Brand new information.
All kinds of whiskeys, bourbons, scotches, all that type of stuff. And obviously with my Irish heritage, I enjoy a nice fine Irish whiskey every now and then. I'll never do a Bushmills.
Protestant whiskey.
Exactly. Absolutely. But Tullamore Dew is actually my go-to. And if you want to sit there and say, Tullamore, Jameson, I mean, they're probably the two most popular Irish whiskeys in the world. Tullamore I'm always going to lean towards Tullamore Dew because my mama was from Tullamore.
Love that.
In County Offaly. And funny story, when my grandparents from 69 to 94 every year went over to Ireland to visit my grandmom's brothers. They would be my great uncles, I guess. And every year they brought back bottles of whiskey for my mom, her sister, her other sister, and her son and her brother, my aunts and uncles. And they would have a bottle of Tullamore that was from the duty-free shop.
Oh, yeah.
And my parents didn't drink.
Oh.
And around 15, I discovered the liquor cabinet, which was one of those end tables that had the doors on it. And it was like this, it was literally like the scene from Pulp Fiction where they open the suitcase and all you see is this golden glow take over. And I was like,
well, I feel like you were probably just doing your due diligence. Like, hey, we can't let this product go to waste.
Exactly.
Right.
I am an environmentalist at heart. So I'm reduce, reuse, recycle,
drink Tully.
And drink Tully.
Right.
So
next t-shirt, by the way.
Okay. So now I'm going to come back over the top with another over
under. This is
over
third,
under.
Right?
And there's been different trends over the years with different drinks and different alcohols and this, that, and the other thing. But I'm going to go with overrated Captain Morgan. Okay. People drink Captain Morgan. I remember back in the day when I was, one of the places I was at, I won't name the name, but we might have had some cocktails while we were working. I was very young and immature at the time. And now
you're just not young anymore.
And the idea was you went to the bar and you said, can I get a Coke? And that meant the eye patch for Captain and Coke, And I had a few of them over the years. No need for it anymore. I think if you're going to do, especially in the age of where there's all these, small batch type of products, something like Captain Morgan, I have no need for in my life. And I don't foresee myself ever ordering it. And I don't even think if I was with somebody and they ordered a Captain and Coke or something like that, I don't think I would let them get it.
They wouldn't get a second invite to supper club.
Absolutely not.
You're telling on yourself.
I might pull I'm going to go to the bathroom and do my little Irish exit. If
I'll cover the check on my way out, but I ain't coming back.
Yeah. Absolutely not. So again, that's an overrated one. And again, sticking with the same kind of category, I think Bacardi is an underrated rum, and a regular Bacardi Silver. I feel like it's a good rum. It doesn't have that kind of over sweetness that Captain Morgan has and all the flavoring involved with it. Yeah, that's my thoughts on what would be overrated, underrated with those pours, because I really feel like there's an entire generation of people out there that probably won't ever even order a Captain and Coke.
Captain Morgan is the I think bad weddings keep Captain Morgan in business.
Bad weddings.
Yeah, cheap weddings keep Captain Morgan in business.
Okay.
Just for your go-to, like, hey, let me get a Captain and Ginger. Let me get a Captain and Coke. I think Captain Morgan drinkers are also probably like VO drinkers.
Oh, wow. VO or Seagram 7.
Yeah, you're the same. You're the same people.
Doers.
And the same people when you ask what kind of vodka do you say, whatever you got, house.
And we do carry whatever. So there you go.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
That's whatever.
Do you have one last underrated that you'd like to discuss?
Well, it was a top 3. That was 3. Should we do a fourth one, like a bonus one?
Anyway, it's 2 and 2. It's fair that way.
Gotcha.
And then that way, anybody who's watching can they can compare my over unders to your over unders, and they'll see the superiority in my choices.
Well, I mean, you also thought this all out and had you had things ready to go, right?
I thought this out last night when I was halfway through a bottle of Maker's 46 and in the cigar
overrated
lounge.
Maker's 46. You know what? I can say this. I might not have a fourth one, but I bet you and I can come up with an overrated one in a count of 3 without us planning this out. Overrated Irish whiskey. Like terrible, overrated Irish whiskey that, maybe was saturated through marketing and through like name brand,
okay.
but 1, 2, 3, proper 12.
Yeah.
There we go.
Proper 12.
How to spot someone that doesn't drink whiskey and only follows trends. You just look for the first person and be like, oh my God, they have proper 12.
We were at an event on the Mooshaloo. I think this is about 3 or 4 years ago.
Sad and bougie.
And we got down to the downstairs bar because all the upstairs bars were packed, and those bartenders don't give 2 fucks about anybody.
No.
And so we went to the bar that was open, and they actually had more choices. And one of the people that we were with saw proper 12, love dearly.
We love.
Saw proper
Dear
12.
person in our hearts.
And was like, oh my God, I need proper 12. And my stomach hurt ordering it. And then
your liver hurt drinking it.
It was one of the most
disappointing
experiences. It was a very good night.
Conor McGregor makes as good whiskey as he does at fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov. Which is not.
He makes as good a whiskey as he acts. And I'm actually going to go into that with a little discussion right now.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So I like movies. You like movies?
Love movies.
Who doesn't like movies? One of the greatest bar-centric movies out there, and there's a lot of them out there. We know them, is Roadhouse. Love Roadhouse. Patrick Swayze, phenomenal in it.
Roundhouse kick.
I always wanted to be the guy in the room who was able to stand back and go like this and have people move and have people know exactly what I was talking about like he did. In fact, there's a great scene in there where he talks about be nice, and it's like, always be nice. And the guy says, what if he calls my mom a whore? And the response is, well, is she? But be nice. And I've used that as training for managers and employees because, it's not personal. All you are is an end to the means of whatever that person wants to do that night. So you be nice, kill them with kindness, and it works. So recently, Amazon released a remake of Roadhouse. It quite possibly might be one of the worst movies ever made. And I've seen some bad movies.
Like Conor McGregor said.
Yeah. Did you see it?
Absolutely not. I have more of a self-respect.
Yeah. I might have had a few cocktails when I saw it. So
fair enough.
And Conor McGregor's in it. And first off, he He walks around flexing the entire time, trying to make himself look bigger. You know, Conor McGregor, his fighting weight was like 125 or 135.
It was a featherweight,
Exactly.
145. Then he moved up to 155, and then he tried to jump weight to like 170 and completely blew himself up. But he's a 145er.
Listen,
130.
Whatever natural or unnatural things are going into his body.
He's a wee little guy.
It's quite possibly the worst acting. I haven't seen such bad acting since Hulk Hogan in whatever Nanny movie he was in, and that was bad.
Mr. Nanny.
Yeah. It was horrible acting, and Jake Gyllenhaal, who probably trained for months to become Dalton, the lead character.
As a Swiftie, I just want to interrupt and say fuck Jake Gyllenhaal.
I don't know about that. Is that something the kids are doing?
My people know.
Okay. All right.
Go on. As you were, sir.
Jake Gyllenhaal, it's a horrible movie. It's a horrible movie. The fact that they felt the need to remake one of the greatest bar movies ever made and do it in such a way that I don't even want to watch. I don't want to watch the original anymore because it's going to make me think of the remake.
That's an indictment.
That's how bad of a movie that was. I can't say enough how horrible. And you know what the funny thing is, that there's no real tie to the original, which is fine, because it's a remake.
It's a remake. It's not like
it's not like,
reboot or a.
It's not like, there's some type of relation down the line or anything like that. They took the general plot line and then they kind of force fed, but it was funny. Like no characters are the same. Even Dalton, like in the original one, that was his first name. And in this one, it was his last name. But they tried, you could tell that they understood that there was people who were very passionate about that movie because every single scene had some sort of
Easter egg to the original,
whether it be somebody's name, but it was like a different name or a different character or a different place, or even there's a scene in there where there's girls dancing in the bar and it literally looks exactly like the scene, from the original. The one scene that I was very disappointed that they didn't include, which I think could have brought some humor to the movie that it was needing. In the original, there's a great scene where one of the bouncers is having relations with one of the customers in the bar in the storage room.
That never happens.
It never happens. It's fantasy world. But he's in there, and it's one of the greatest lines I still say to this day. That's right. I'm going to make you my regular Saturday night thing. And the fact that he had to tell this girl that, and I guess that maybe solidified his position with her, and then he loses his job after that. He's the guy who asked about his mother being a whore. Maybe she was, but anyway,
maybe she was someone else's Saturday night thing.
I mean, some moms are, believe it or not. But it's I know. We both have a share of love, of going out and restaurants and bars, but I think we also love movies. We love movie quotes.
Have you seen the preview for Beetlejuice 2 yet?
I have.
Looks phenomenal.
Cannot
wait for that.
I do think it's funny that no spoilers, but I think it's pretty well known that the guy who was the father in that movie, he went on to do some pretty nasty things with people.
He's not in this one, yeah.
He's not in this one,
That's
and
okay.
I'm actually okay with that because it's. I think he created a good storyline for it, but it looks phenomenal. I mean, and
it looks like it's going to be the correct way to continue on a franchise that is so many decades removed from the original movie. And it's not a reboot. It's not a remake. It is a sequel in its truest form, but they are definitely doing the homage correct to the original way that it was done.
And see, that's what's important, and we're going to bring this whole conversation back to the hospitality business with consistency. What makes people, whether it be an individual or a team or a restaurant, what makes them successful in the bar and restaurant business is consistency. Okay. And consistency and continuity in movies, it's sometimes lacking. Sometimes it makes sense. The new Ghostbusters coming out, I think it looks really good. When I first saw it and in the previews, and it was, the whole world gets covered in ice or something like that, but I saw the extended previews for it, and I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
First Ghostbuster movies I'm looking forward to since Ghostbusters 2.
The painting. That was one with the painting.
That was the one with the painting.
Scared the shit out of me as a kid.
Because, I mean, the look on this guy's face. I mean, and he did like the people's eyebrow before there was a people's eyebrow. Like,
shout out to Cody Rhodes taking down The Rock and Roman Reigns. WrestleMania.
That's coming up, isn't it? 2 weeks.
It's a thing that's coming up. Yeah. I don't know if you've seen on Main Street. I don't know if you've seen La Roca. They have Kevin Hart and The Rock there.
Well, there's a debate.
They're debating
they're
on who has the
debating
best tequila.
Right.
And everyone knows it's Kevin Hart.
Is it?
I mean, you know, you first of all go with the local guy.
Yeah.
He's the dog. Listen, if you're ever betting on sports, not that ever happens in the bar restaurant world either, but if you're not going to bet on the home team, bet on the dog. And Kevin Hart's both. He's the home team and the dog.
Okay.
So
he's cute. He's like
well, he's a wee little guy, just like Connor.
It's like, hey, I'm Kevin Hart. Hey.
How's it go?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, as we are approaching the end of our show, and right before we kind of end things, one thing that we have a terminology in the restaurant and bar business is 86. We're going to 86 our show soon, but before we do that, I'm going to talk about something that's been 86 recently in either the bar restaurant industry or in the Philadelphia adjacent scene. And my first 86 list topic is going to be something of a curveball. I'm going to 86 something that's been 86'd. The Phillies and CBP have notoriously $86 dog night. Well, I'm going to 86 that being 86. I want to talk about something that's happening and that's coming up. Kyle Pagan and the guys over at Crossing Broad, they're bringing it back. They're bringing back Dollar Dog Night.
Much respect.
Much respect. They're bringing it back to the Wells Fargo parking lot, April 7th, Lot G. They're doing dollar dogs for anyone that wants to come. It's the same date and day that the Phillies play. There's also a Sixers game, but they are donating 100% of the profits and proceeds of this Dollar Dog Night to Phil Abundance. So taking what the Phillies kind of have sort of soured and spoiled a little bit by taking that away from the Philadelphians, and they're bringing it back. They're donating to a great cause. So I want to 86 the 86ing of Dollar Dog Night and let everyone know it's back. It's big. And when you think of what dogs are, when you think of what a hot dog is, I can't think of a food that is so adjacent to what Philadelphia is. You have something in the sum of its parts that you might look at and be like,
lips and assholes.
Lips and assholes, right? Or, something that's just like, it might not seem appealing to you at first, but if done right, God damn, a hot dog is really, really something amazing. And I think going all the way back to King George and the Brits, they might have looked at Philadelphians and they might have looked at Americans, God damn it, and said, lips and assholes. And they might have looked at us and said, that's beneath us, that's below us. But when done right, we are amazing. Philadelphians are amazing. Hot dogs are amazing. You get your dollar dogs back at the Wells Fargo parking lot, April 7th, Lot G. All proceeds go to Phil Abundance.
I wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said there. Dollar Dog Night, I think it originated at the Vet when they were trying to fill a 65,000 seat stadium with a baseball team that had 2 good years, essentially. 3 good years, 80, 83, and then he jumped to 93. And it was there to put butts in the seats. And I was there. I'm sure you were there back in 06, 07, 08, 09, 10, 11, when that core group of, Rollins and
Chase.
Chase. It was every year we were going to the series or going to the LCS, and it was just a great time. And I can remember there was a few years of sellouts where it was almost impossible to get those tickets. Every single game had 46,000 people screaming for like 3 years straight, 4 years straight. And they still did the dollar dogs. And people went, when you're looking at that calendar, what do people look at? They look and see, okay, what's the bobblehead being given out? What's the promotion that night? Where can I bring my kids that night? What's going to be fun? And there's nothing funner than getting a dollar dog, housing it, and saying 4 more. And the fact that they took that away, it doesn't make any sense. Every year they come out with this whole list of like, these are the new foods we're trying there. And there was a burger that was there. I don't even know who's selling it, but it's like this. You don't eat that at a baseball game. You do pretzels, you do peanuts, you do a hot dog. And even if you do the cheesesteak or something fried, fries, crab fries, whatever, there's stuff that you can eat, but you're going to replace a dollar dog with a burger that doesn't fit in your mouth. I like things that fit right down my gullet. And that's why I enjoy a good hot dog every now and then. And I enjoy it. We all know they taste better at the ballpark.
Always.
Whatever secret water that they boil it in, it always tastes better at the ballpark. So I agree with you. I agree with you. 86 to 86ing of Dollar Dog Night.
Coming back.
Nice.
All right. Well, looks like we're 86 today. Thank you for joining us for our Supper Club Sessions Episode 1. Thank you for watching us on the YUNKJunk channel. Again, I'm Lou Novak. This is my partner and co-host, Sean Thumpy Thump McGranaghan. We'll catch you for Episode 2.
YUNKJunk!